Well, huzzah and well met, sailors and navigators too. When I left you before, we were working on our guardian farm. So let's pick up right where we left off, or a little ahead in this case. As when I left you, oh my, when I left you, we may have had better sound levels than this. And we will just turn that down entirely so you can hear me just fine over the rain. I will draw your attention to my underwater empowerment, the conduit power, I think it's called. This works while you're above water and in the rain. So just keep that in mind. If you have a very rainy biome that you live in, you can use that to your advantage. So, anyways, where we left off in our last video is we had 4 of our spawning cups here, or funnels, however you'd like to look at them. And I have obviously expanded it to include the 10 on this side. Let's shut this nonsense off. And so I should give you the rundown on how to complete our farm here. The idea is that we're going to be funneling these guardians down through this water and into these canals where we have it set out for them to meet their end at a trident killer. So how this works is you'll build yourself this canal. I've used glass here. You can use whatever to channel the water however you like. This makes it easier for you all to see. These golden pillars are the spawning locations for the guardians. So they'll spawn here. The water will push them over down here. And they will wriggle and fight and bump into each other as they do because they spawn in groups of 3 usually. Place yourself some trapdoors here so that these water flows stop and you can drop them into another one. You'll see this one goes from this left block to the right. I'm using green for these item canals because the guardians will be killed by these trapdoors. Their items will drop and they'll all flow this way. Or at least in my design. You may want it differently in your world, and I'll show you just how that works. Because these come down to 2 empty blocks right here, put it in the one side, have the button here at the back side so the water only flows one direction, and your other water flow is coming by. It will push those items along through this tunnel, and ultimately we're taking everything over here to this elevator. So a bit of soul sand and water sources all the way up. And you will see our items come up here, but I'll show you the demonstration in a moment. We have one other bit to go over here. So all that is necessary to kill your guardians is to put pistons here, and we have a clock wired up over there that provides a timing chain for the whole system. All of these run off the same clock, so you can just run repeaters and redstone wires. Run them over top on solid blocks and connect them up to your pistons. They will obviously push up, and when they come down, the tridents will take a second to fall down. And this falling second or falling damage that they can give through this corner, you'll have to throw them right into this corner between these 2 blocks here that are outlined. And as the piston moves down or retracts, the trident will move down slowly like an arrow or like a trident, a falling projectile, and deal damage to the guardians. You will never have to worry about your tridents wearing out or breaking while they're used in this manner. You could hold yourself a looting 2 sword or looting 3 sword, and get bonus drops, though they just drop a lot of raw cod and prismarine scales and prismarine shards. If you really want to build all kinds of sea lanterns and all kinds of prismarine, then by all means, loot it up. Other than that, this is a very good experience farm, as you will see. An incredibly quick way to achieve your enchanting levels. And if you have mending gear to repair it all very quickly, it does take a minute upon starting. So I'll try and give you a minute to have a look at all of this. This is what's necessary to kill the guardians. This will kill the one that's stuck in the corner, and sometimes the one next to it will take some damage as well, depending on where your throw lands and where the trident kind of scooches to. But you are able to expand it and throw a trident at each one of these glass blocks. You can do this while it's on as well. You'll just have to learn the timing to throw your tridents. Otherwise, if they don't get all the way over to the edge, they will not hurt the guardians inside. All you need to do is put pistons, solid blocks beside them. You don't even need to put solid blocks beneath them. You just have to have redstone dust connected to them. Once you have done all that, it does become tedious to throw tridents everywhere in this farm, but it is well worth it. You can even use this elevator yourself. I'm in creative mode, so I probably just should have not flown up that. You can even push yourself into the item elevator to get up to your spawning platform. And this is the last bit that we have to talk about before the redstone, is you want to find yourself about the center of your farm and you want to center yourself all four directions, or both ways, as it were, and make sure that you are at least 22 blocks above these two spawners. This is because, as we've talked about in other videos, mobs will spawn when you are further than 22 blocks away and closer than 45 blocks away. I may need to make a corrective statement on that 45, but it's right about there, 44 or 45 blocks from you. They will spawn in that Goldilocks zone, I guess you'd call it. So you want to be standing right here while you AFK this farm. And it is definitely an AFK farm. What we're also going to want to do is build your water elevator up to a high enough point, and I will show you a quick demonstration for this. I'm not going to show you how to build a storage system. I have a whole playlist on building storage systems and managing your items. But what you will want to do is build your elevator so that it goes high enough and you can take and bring all of your items to you as they exit the water elevator. So we'll just do a very rudimentary hopper line and nailed it. Build your elevator just a little bit higher. That one was temporary. You also get a bit of a show because this will launch your items up into the sky before they come down to your hoppers. So it's at least something to watch if you get bored of watching the Guardians being tridented to death. But anyways, let's go talk about our very primitive redstone clock. And primitive indeed. The only thing we need to worry about here is this is a comparator in subtract mode. And when it gets a signal, it sends that signal out. And that signal comes around and it subtracts the signal that comes around from the signal that it's sending out. And that signal will cause it to turn off. It will say, oh, I'm getting this signal, and it is a powerful signal enough that I want to turn these off. and it will flicker just like that. Now, that's too fast. You can't have your pistons going that fast, so you will see this repeater, not piston, and this repeater are set to 4 ticks. The rest of these repeaters are only being used to extend the signal. Remember, a repeater gets a signal and sends it onward. For 15 redstone dusts or 15 blocks away, it will power that much before the signal's too weak. So use your repeaters to keep your signal going 15 blocks at a time. And be careful not to float over to my tridents and collect them on accident. But these repeaters are set to 4 ticks so that they space out the timing well enough that our pistons have time to retract, and then our tridents have time to fall on our guardians. You'll see our bouncing tridents all over the place here. We'll float ourselves back up here. And you want to, as I said, find the sweet spot about 22 blocks above one of these um, spawning cups that we have. It's not exactly 22 blocks because we're centered in them and the Pythagorean theorem comes into play. Regardless of all that, play around with it until you can see all of your guardians spawning. And to that end, let's demonstrate this. You'll see we've already got guardians spawning there. Perhaps I needed a spyglass to show this off. Guardians, guardians, guardians. You'll see them flopping around. You'll see orange spikes and tails whipping. And you can already see all of this experience coming at our item elevator here. And now, obviously, you don't want to have your items being lost this way, but this is just for a quick demonstration's purpose. You'll have to design your own gathering system. This does create a ton of items for you. Like I said, raw cod, prismarine shards, prismarine scales. There's not very many different items, but there are tons of them to collect. And as you can see, the experience is piling up. Some people will have an issue where you will see the experience orbs, but that's not actually where they are. Or you will be able to hear them and you collect them, but you will not be able to see them. The one further issue with this farm is you'll notice that I'm receiving guardian lasers. They're not actually able to hurt you at this range. It's because you're causing damage, and the computer, and obviously so they can figure out where you are and I guess track you, but they won't actually be able to fire. And even if they were able to fire, I don't think they'd last long enough to even complete one firing before the trident stabs them. So this was actually a re-upload of a previous video that I just felt I didn't do well enough with the first time. Oh, and one final note, be sure that you use slabs all the way around this edge of the farm. You can see that's a single block over there. This is a block and a slab. So these are lower half slabs, and this will keep things like creepers and zombies from spawning on top of the rim of your farm while you're AFK here. That can be detrimental to your mob caps, which can slow down your farm. And obviously, it's always a danger having a creeper around. If you try to get rid of it and it blows a giant hole in the side of your aquarium here, then you've got water to deal with that washes away all your redstone, and it's just a headache. So be sure to slab your farms. It wouldn't hurt to put them on top of our spawning point covers as well, though I have yet to see anything spawn on top of those. But you can't ever be too cautious, I suppose. And I am told that this farm can get you from 0 to 30 levels in just about a minute. It varies in my testing. Sometimes it's faster, sometimes it's slower. It's always right about a minute. So, like I said, if you need, this is a fabulous experience farm. If you need to really gather up levels and enchant a bunch of stuff, this is the way to do it. This beats even my Endermen farms. But as you can see, this is an expensive farm and it's a lot of work. And the Enderman farms really aren't as much work. So it's all based on what you'd like to do with yourself and your world and how much work you'd like to put in. So enjoy. Let's see what kind of treasures we've gathered up. See, this is already nearly full. And we've picked up half a stack or so of each of these. Oh, a stack and a half of shards, anyways. You will get a lot more shards than anything else. But you will never want for raw fish again. And you should never want for sea lanterns and prismarine of any kind. Uh, you'll see there's plenty of squids around. We lit up the ocean monument so that the drowned don't spawn as often. You have to go quite a ways out to spawn proof this. It only takes lights, and as you know, we're making stuff for lights right now. You have an infinite source of these sea lanterns, which coincidentally are my favorite. But to make dark prismarine, you need ink sacs, and how convenient that we have squids here as well. So keep that in mind. Uh, Without further ado, though, I just want to say a great big thank you to the new subscribers I've received. Um, that's great to have you around. Appreciate it. Leave a comment, leave a like. I love to have community interaction. And I will see you next time when I bring you a Blaze Farm. So I've been pretty excited to share that with you guys and girls. So we will see you then. Be blessed on your next quest, and I'm off to my next adventure that you already know about. This has been your White Sun Paladin. Goodbye.